Jeanette here, and I'm out in the greenhouse again after we endured that 8-degree low that we had this morning. And today I'm going to go ahead and get some seeds started. I think that that's the last really cold day that we'll have. I'm hoping. I mean, it can always happen again, but who knows. I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to show you what I'm going to start. It's not anything like I'm used to starting in previous years, and that's well, it kind of seems weird to only start a few plants of something instead of a whole big tray after tray after tray of something. But I'm going to plant what I plant, and I'll bring you along and show you what's going to happen. When I went to my store in Versailles the other day, I bought some sun sugar. These are little yellow cherry tomatoes. We like to do some Roma tomatoes, especially this year. We're going to can a lot. This is marigolds. I intend to kind of plant marigolds everywhere. These are the little kind of shorter kind of marigolds, not the big tall ones. I'm going to try a few cayenne peppers, some habanero peppers, which I like. We'll do some kale. This is Blue Vantage cabbage seed, Swiss chard, some Thai peppers, and some lettuce. This is the kind of lettuce we like to do. It's butter crunch. It's kind of a loose head lettuce. It says head, but it's really kind of a loose thing that doesn't really make a head. And then I've got two different kinds of broccoli. I've got one called Imperial and one called Arcadia. I want to show you in the Johnny's seed catalog that they have a chart that tells you what kind of broccoli to plant at what time of the year. If you want to plant spring broccoli, then what we've got to plant is Imperial, because the green means plant in the cool spring and harvest in the summer. And then the Arcadia shows to plant in the warm summer and harvest in the fall. My experience with growing broccoli is that it's very weather sensitive. If you plant in the spring and it turns off hot, then there's a lot of broccoli that just won't do any good. It won't make a nice head. And so in Missouri it's really tough because we never know for sure what our spring's going to be like. Fall seems like you can be a little more dependent on the weather. And so around here, actually you can get a better crop of growing fall broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage. But the bugs are a little bit worse during that time of year, especially as the plants are young and more susceptible to the bugs, but later on too. In the fall, your brassicas can take a little bit of a frost, a light frost, and it actually makes them more flavorful, sweeter tasting. And so I really like to do fall production of broccoli and cauliflower and Chinese cabbage especially. But I want to do some of both because I want to have some fresh broccoli to eat and pick off all, for however long it can last. So for now I'm going to plant some Imperial because it does well transplanting in the spring, picking in the summer, and then I'll save my Arcadia to start maybe the first part of June, transplant out into field maybe in July. We have to give it a lot of water at that point because it's hot and dry, but if you keep watering it, it'll be okay. And then we'll have broccoli in the fall and ready to pick and put in the freezer at that point is what I like to do. First thing I'm going to do is plug this thermostat in. It is a unit that has 4 different things you can plug into it, but we only have one zone, so we only have one thing plugged into it, but I do need to get it plugged into the electric source. Okay, I pressed it up there. It's kind of hard to tell if the light's on in the bright, but you can see that there's a red glow there, so that means it's working. It has a temperature dial here, and what I'm going to aim for is right 85 degrees. I think that's pretty good for everything that I'm going to plant. It might be a little bit hot for the cabbage and the broccoli, but it'll be okay. It'll make it germinate really fast. Sometimes it'll germinate at like in 18 hours at that temperature. I've put some of my BM2 seed starting mix, germinating mix, it says right there, in this tray, and I watered it a little bit. It was really dry, and if it's too dry, it won't take up the water when you put it into the tray of water. If it's a little bit damp, it will more quickly take up the water and absorb the water. I brought several of these little trays over here to put some soil into. And what I'll just do is fill them up. See, this is really small. It's only got 4 of these channels, and it's for something I don't want very much of, but that's a lot of what I've got this year, is not very much of anything. Well, I have my seed trays filled up with the soil. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, but one of them is that great big long one that I'm going to put the marigold seeds in, because I want to grow a lot of marigolds, and they're very cheap. I can put them everywhere I want. Some of these I will just put half one plant and half another plant, but I'll only put plants together that don't look alike when they come up, so I can tell the difference. There are 2 methods that I use to distribute the seeds in the trays, and one of them was with using this little tool right here. It has holes that are supposed to be various sizes around the edge. It's kind of a dial thing. You put the seeds in this container here. This sets down over the top of it and snaps down in. To tell you the truth, I usually just use the biggest hole that there is, and then I'm careful to be able to tap them down through this little channel and watch out the end as they feed through, to regulate how much I'm putting in. The other way is just to take a seed packet, to cut the corner off of it, like right there, and then to use it as the same principle, but to shake the seeds out like this and try to watch as they drop down and scatter them out evenly. They both work really well. Depends on the mood I'm in, which one I'm going to use probably, but I'll show you how each one of them works today, right now. When I'm ready to plant, I'll take another tray like this, set it down on top, and gently press down. And when you do that, it makes a little channel inside there where your seeds can fall. What I'm going to plant in here is a few Roma tomato seeds, maybe like 25 or 30. And then I'm going to plant in the other side with cabbage seeds. Those 2 seeds are very different from each other, so I'll be able to tell them apart when they come up. I'll take the seeds, let them fall out of this and into this little planting tool. I think I'll go with that many. That's probably more than 25 or 30. Then I'll put the lid on it. I do like to use the largest hole. Just, it seems to work better after all the years of practice I have. And then I'll gently tap this and let the seeds come down the channel. There's some little ridges right at the end that help stop them from just running out the end. And I'll try to spread them apart, maybe 1/2 to 3/4 inch apart. I don't want to be in too much of a hurry. If they come out too thick like that, I will pick it up and kind of scatter it around. But for the most part, I let them land where they lay. I mean, I let them lay where they land. Maybe that's how I should say it. So just scatter these out as best you can. It's not a perfect science. There's a lot of forgiveness. They can do well in however you do it, unless they are just absolutely too thick. Now I'll leave those until I'm ready to do my cabbage. Actually, this cabbage package has been opened before, so I'm not going to cut the corner off, but I'm going to open it like that and make a little V here it's make kind of a funnel for it. And then I'll go over above my row and start tapping gently to get the seeds to roll down. Now, one thing about these seeds is that they are round, which makes them roll out faster. You have to be a little more careful and cautious. Now, since I know the difference between these two different kinds of seeds, and I want more cabbage plants than I do tomato plants, I'm going to do 3 of the rows as cabbage and 2 of the rows as the Roma tomatoes. Next, I'll use a pot that has holes in the bottom and use it as a sifter. And your soil needs to be pretty dry to do this, because if it's wet it will clump up in there instead of sifting out. So just gently sift out your soil to cover, and then with your hand rake it even. You don't want it piled up. You want it, because here's one thing that will happen. If you have it piled up and you leave your seedlings in the tray too long, they will actually jump this barrier right here if there's dirt, soil there, and get over into the next tray with their roots, which is not too big a deal, but it doesn't work as well. They don't come apart as well. I have these kind of stake labels, and I can write on there with a Sharpie. Sharpie works well, and just stick it down in the tray like that. You can stand it up if you want. For now I'm going to set it down, and then I'll get it in my water that I brought out here. I had to carry warm water from my house because it's too cold to run the hose, plus I don't want cold water for this job. I want warm water to get the little plants off to a good start. I'll set my tray in there and just let it sit there. It right now you can tell it's quite dry because it's floating. As it takes on some water, it'll settle down in. Just the only thing is, you might want to be careful that you don't let your water be too deep so that it covers up your plant, that the tray sinks too low and water gets over the top. Okay, now I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of these with my other seeds, and then I'll show you what I have. After they've sat in the water long enough and they look pretty wet, then I'll take it out and carry it over to my place I'm going to put them and set them down in there. I'm going to leave some mouse poison in there because if a mouse shows up, I think they'll probably go after the mouse poison before they go after the seedlings. And the seeds, actually the seeds are what if they get in here, I think that they will go after the mouse poison first instead of the seeds. It's not the plants that they want, it's the seeds that they want before they even germinate. And they especially like pepper seeds. So if I see that the mouse poison's gone, then I'll know that I have a problem, and I'll do something else, and then I'll show you what that's going to be. I have some of these clear plastic tray covers, and I'll just set those over the trays of seeds if I feel like I'm going to have a mouse trouble, because it's really disappointing to go to a bunch of work and expense of doing seeds and then find that a mouse has been in here and destroyed everything. I just want to tell you that the reason I like to sow the seeds in a concentrated situation and then separate the seedlings later is, instead of sowing like 2 or 3 seeds in a container and then coming back and eliminating the ones you don't want, is because I like to separate them, because they are often come out leggy, even in the greenhouse, even under lights. And I like to go ahead and bury the stem down and the roots down in the soil a little bit to give it more protection and stability. Now on tomato plants, you can go ahead and do that, and I have a video that I will link at the end so that you can watch it about dealing with leggy tomato seedlings. I mean, it's very valuable information. If you've ever grown tomato seeds and they got leggy, and you were tempted to throw it away, you don't need to do that. Just follow my directions in this video that I'm going to link, and you'll be able to solve the problem of your leggy tomato seedlings. Now, other things can be also buried down in, but not all of them are like tomato seeds in that they put roots out along the stem. But it's better, I think, to go ahead and transplant them into a different cell, each little plant into its own cell. Now there are seeds that I don't do that with. For instance, all cucumbers, all melons. I don't mass plant them. I plant them each in their own little cell, generally one per cell. Sometimes if there's 2 lens in there, it's okay. Okra, I start okra in the greenhouse in cells. I plant 2 seeds per cell generally. And then cucumbers, melons, squashes, zucchini, only 1 seed per cell. So I just wanted to share that little bit of information with you so that you would understand what I think about it. Not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's okay. You get to decide what you want to do. Oh my goodness, what I've got in my box here looks so minute to what I've done in the past several years that it makes me feel kind of sad. Always before, I would be vying for space in here in this 4 by 12 foot box, but for this time all I've got is these few. I do have some more seeds ordered that today's Wednesday, I ordered them on Monday, so they might be here by the end of the week, the weekend, and there's some things that I'll be getting into the warming table. I call it a germination table. As soon as I get them, I want to get them in some soil and get them started germinating. But for now, this is what I've got, and I'm grateful to be able to do this because it makes it so much easier to have a spot in my greenhouse outside where I can grow these things without having to set up lights in my house, which I've done, and it's doable, but it's better out where the sun can shine on it. So thanks for joining me. I hope you got some good out of this video. If you like what you see, please subscribe so that you can see the next video. Bye for now.